Picture this. You're standing at the edge of a breathtaking gorge. The river is rushing below you, and in the distance, one of the most iconic bridges in the country. Where are we? New River Gorge National Park. In the heart of West Virginia, this newest national park in the U.S. is a place where adventure and history collide in the most incredible way. In today's episode, we're diving into everything this park has to offer. Let's get right into it. If you want to start traveling more with your family, this podcast is for you. Welcome to Wonderwise, a family travel podcast. I'm Megan Whitley Medlin, a mama of 4 with a serious case of wanderlust. Traveling with kids presents many challenges, but with the right tools in your toolbox, you can create unforgettable memories. Whether you enjoy exploring U.S. national parks or international destinations, this podcast is your ultimate resource to inspire your travels and help you craft well-thought-out itineraries for your family's next big adventure. Get ready to plan smarter and wander wisely. Your next adventure starts now. Hey, wanderers. I hope you are doing so well. I cannot believe how fast this month has gone by. We're already at the end of March, and there's so many things to look forward to as we go into April and, spring break, full on activity mode. For my family, we've got tons of soccer going on and school events, and it's kind of a race to the finish from now until the end of school. I have been looking forward to doing this episode since I started the podcast. I think there's so much to offer in this newest national park, and I'm excited to share it with you so that hopefully you can go off on your own adventure with your family or with your spouse or a group of friends. There's so much to do in West Virginia, and I'll kind of tell you a little funny story. For an anniversary trip, my husband and I had gone to Costa Rica, and I chose that trip. I had been wanting to go to Costa Rica for years, and so we went in 2023. And so when 2024 rolled around, I said, "Hey, honey, what do you want to do for our anniversary? Where would you like to go?" And, in my mind, I'm thinking all kinds of different places. And he said, how about West Virginia? And I was like, what? What are we going to do in West Virginia? It's just a short drive for us from North Carolina. And to be honest, I tried to talk myself out of it so many times. I tried to talk him out of it, but he was turning 40 and it was our, 14th wedding anniversary. And so I really wanted him to have the choice of where we wanted to go. But as I got to researching more, I knew that the newest national park was in West Virginia. And I got more and more excited about all of the things that there is to do. So I said, all right, West Virginia it is. We plan to go in like mid-June, right after the kids got out of school. And it was just going to be me and my husband. So I can speak from our personal experience there, but there's also so many great things that we would have also included if our kids had been tagging along on this. So I'll be able to easily interject where I think those family-friendly opportunities are for this new national park. New River Gorge National Park is the 63rd national park in the U.S. It was deemed a national park in 2020, and it's located in southern West Virginia, right near Fayetteville, West Virginia. It's in, these rolling hills, very similar to the hills in North Carolina and Virginia. So you've got, not mountain peaks, but more of the rolling hills, very lush and green in the summer. And they're really well known for having top-class whitewater rafting. And then, of course, the iconic New River Gorge Bridge. We are kind of on a quest. Well, I think he is. I'm definitely on a quest to see all 63 national parks. So being able to just drive to this one was a huge pro for me because so many of the national parks we have to fly to and, rent a car, and then there's lots of driving involved. So this was just like like a 4.5 hour drive from North Carolina. And as I was researching, I got so excited because there are just tons of things to do in West Virginia. Even just a couple hours north, there is a Via Ferrata. If you're not familiar what that is, I think it stands for, I don't know what it stands for. I'll have to look it up. But it's like basically a rock face, and it involves cables, and it's kind of like a blend rock climbing, but you're harnessed in, and you kind of hook into different spots, and then you can walk across some really high, like rope bridges kind of thing. It's a high adrenaline situation. But we didn't get to do that because it was several hours north of where we were staying. We were going to focus on the New River Gorge, but West Virginia in a whole just has so much to do. So don't sleep on this state in general, but for today's episode's purpose, just going to focus on the New River Gorge area. So you would think the New River would be, new, but it's not. It's one of the oldest rivers in North America, estimated to be over 300 million years old. I don't know how they date that, but that is what the Googles tell me. Why did it become a national park? It's recognized for its natural beauty, biodiversity, and outdoor recreation, and that needed to be preserved. It began as a national river in 1978, established by President Jimmy Carter to preserve the free-flowing waterway and its natural, scenic, and historic values. It became the national park and preserve in December of 2020, and it comprises about 72,000 acres inside of those park boundaries. The gorge itself is 53 miles long and has a really rich history, including Native American presence, exploration by fur traders, coal mining and logging industries, and then the construction of that ever-famous New River Gorge Bridge. I want to take a minute to talk about the bridge itself. Way back in the late 1800s, this area was extremely inaccessible. And then around that time is when the railroad came through to kind of connect this area of West Virginia to the rest of the country. At that point, the landscape began to change. And with the bringing in that railroad, they were able to ship the coal, and the coal mining industry really grew in that area. There were towns that started to flourish, and it became a really prosperous area because they were able to mine the coal and ship it off to other areas. Before the construction of the New River Gorge Bridge, crossing the gorge took about 40 minutes. There are still existing winding roads that kind of carve down to the river level on one side, and then there's a small bridge that you can go across directly above the river, and then you could access the other side. So it used to take 40 minutes, and now you can cross from one side of the river to the other with the bridge in about a minute and a half. So it made things much more efficient when they started to erect the idea of the bridge itself. Construction began in June of 1974 and was completed almost at the end of October in 1977. It took over 3 years to complete and cost at that time $37 million. So just to put in perspective, the gorge itself is over 3,000 feet wide. So it was really a challenge to figure out, what kind of bridge will be capable of spanning that huge gorge. And let's not forget that it's 876 feet above the river. So in that construction, they decided that the arch design would suit the surroundings of the New River Gorge and sort of help with the challenges of spanning that wide amount of space. At that time, the new River Gorge Bridge would become the longest single-span arch bridge in the world. So this was a big deal. And so on the completion of that in October, and to celebrate that, every year in October, they shut the bridge down to vehicle traffic, and they celebrate Bridge Day. So what does that mean? This is something that you may be more interested in watching than participating in, just depending on your adrenaline and your level of, what word do I want to use? Just like very high intensity activities. So they use the bridge to base jump for a few hours on that day only. So you have the bridge itself, and then you have a platform that's lifted above, I think, another 25 or 50 feet. And then about every couple of minutes, someone is base jumping off of that 900-foot rise above the river, and they pull their parachute and aim to land on a little beach area down by the river. So every October, usually in the middle of October, there's a Saturday dedicated to Bridge Day, and would be an epic day if you're into base jumping, or just to at least go watch and celebrate the bridge. So just some fun facts before we move on, because I know I am like totally lingering on this bridge, but I'm kind of obsessed with it. It's the longest single arch bridge in the Western Hemisphere. It's the third longest single arch bridge in the world, the second highest vehicle carrying bridge in the U.S., and the third highest bridge in the U.S. And if you want to compare it to other iconic monuments, the Eiffel Tower in Paris is just over 1,000 feet high. So the bridge is just under that. And then the Space Needle in Seattle is 605 feet. So if you've ever gone up the tower there in the Space Needle, tack on a couple hundred more feet, and then you'll be at the top of that bridge. The Gateway Arch in St. Louis is around 630 feet. Statue of Liberty is 305 feet, so almost triple what the Statue of Liberty is. It is incredible to look at. And then, you've got traffic that's just booming by. It's pretty wild. It's fun to drive over, but it's even more fun, and this is where the adventurous activity comes in. You can actually walk under the bridge. There is a catwalk under the bridge that was built when they built the bridge, so that they could manage repairs and things. So as a tourist, you can go in year round. They're only closed a few days out of the year. So whether it's cold and windy or sunny in the summer, you can go with a guide. And the only concessionaire that does this is Bridgewalk. You can visit them at bridgewalk.com. And you are harnessed in, and it's not like a complicated harness. It is essentially a belt, and you are hooked with a carabiner to the rails above you. And then you go in small groups of maybe 10 to 15 people, and you go under the bridge, and you walk under the bridge. You're hearing the rumbling of the traffic. You can feel the bridge moving. You have the gorge and the river running below you, 870 feet below you. And it's just the footpath. There aren't any barriers other than your handrails. And then of course you're harnessed in. So I am a thrill seeker. I'm not like the base jumping thrill seeker. But this was a lot for me, because you're not just walking the 1.5 miles across this bridge. You're stopping every, I don't know, probably 100 feet, and listening to the guide. She or he is telling you so much history about the bridge as you walk. And then you spend some time, on either side of the bridge. You spend some time in the very center looking down. It's absolutely incredible and an amazing experience. And what is so unique about this, even kids can participate in this. Children age 8 and older can participate. You do have to be over 48 inches tall, but there is essentially no age limits when it comes to doing this with your family. So this is such a great activity. I know that there are some of my kids who would be absolutely thrilled to do this, and I can think of probably one that would be a little panicked. And I will say, I'm glad I got to do this with just my husband. I think it would have been a more stressful experience having to, monitor the kids too, but they do it all the time and would be a really unique experience to have with your family. So I've talked about the bridge enough. It's called New River Gorge National Park, and I know the bridge is just a huge part of that. But let's move on to some more activities in the park. So there are lots of hiking. There are lots of hiking trails within the park, and I'm a big hiker. I enjoy scenic views. I enjoy difficult hikes. None of the hikes that we did were incredibly difficult. I didn't feel like they were very challenging. I wasn't out of breath, and they were all very manageable. So if you are looking for a park to visit and you kind of want to dip your toes in the hiking a little bit, this would be a great place to do that. I will say that several of these trails, when you get to a viewpoint, you're in nature. There's no barriers, and it's very steep down below. So you'll just want to be mindful and prepare your kids for that. No goofing off there at the edge because it does drop off pretty quickly into the gorge. So I'm going to highlight 3 different trails that would be very family friendly for your time in the New River Gorge. The Long Point Trail is a 3-mile round trip, and this ends with kind of a wide, expansive view of the New River Gorge. It's very Instagrammable. It's very picturesque. And I would say this was my favorite because I'm so obsessed with the bridge. This was my favorite trail. We spent some time just kind of chatting with other hikers there as we were looking at the view, and some great opportunities for photos at this trail. It is kid friendly, and I would say a moderate hike. It wasn't very challenging. But it was more than a nature walk. Like, you do have a few places I remember that you had to kind of maybe use your hands to kind of pull up from, larger elevations from, different rocks. And, sometimes it's just helpful to grab onto a tree or a buddy to kind of scramble up. But it wasn't the majority of the trail. Most of it was very simple and easy through the woods. The second trail is the Endless Wall Trail, and this is a 2.4-mile loop. And I forgot to say, but the Long Point Trail was an out and back, so you're seeing the same scenery coming and going. With the Endless Wall Trail, you can make a loop, and I would say it's one of the most top-rated hikes in the park. You're kind of walking along the side of the gorge, and you're able to see these rolling hills. You can see the water below. And with each little viewpoint you come to, it's really pretty. It's a lot of the same. So if you wanted to treat this as an out and back and just go to the first couple of stops, that's acceptable too. We enjoyed the whole trail because it was short and it was just us. But you're kind of walking along the cliffs and above the gorge. It's really nice, really nice. A lot of places you can go out on the rocks a little bit further. Just be really careful and watch those kids. And the last trail I'm going to talk about is the Grandview Rim Trail. And that's a 3-mile round trip hike. And it leads to the Grandview Overlook, which is one of the better viewpoints in the park. Would be a great spot for sunrise or sunset. But those are my 3 picks as far as it would go for hikes. But if you want a great shot of the bridge, that Long Point Trail is really going to be your best bet. Hey Wanderers, taking a pause just for a brief second to tell you about my first ever group escorted trip. This is for women only, and we're going to Glacier National Park in beautiful Montana. If you have wanted to explore Glacier, but you are overwhelmed with trying to plan it between the permitting and what time of year to go, or maybe you don't have anybody to travel that has similar interest, this is the trip for you. We are going to whitewater raft. We're going to fly fish. We're going to hike so many beautiful trails. We're going to spend evenings around the campfire, and the whole thing is led by me, and we have a private driver. It's going to be absolutely incredible. I wanted to personally extend the invitation to my wanderers. This is for women only, and it's in September 6th through the 11th. For more information, check the show notes. I hope that you will join me on this amazing adventure. Now back to the show. New River Gorge is loaded with waterfalls and water activities, and I think your family would really enjoy the New River Gorge waterfall tour. It's not a tour where you're on a bus. It's a tour where you are kind of going from spot to spot and highlighting the 8 waterfalls along different roads. Some require a short amount of hiking, but you can find more information about that. I'll link it in the show notes, but that is something really unique. Even if you don't go to all 8 waterfalls, seeing several of them are going to be really special for your family. And of course, making some time for them to get, kids getting in the river and letting them play around a little bit in some areas would be a super fun stop. Among other activities, you've got whitewater rafting, and that's something the whole family can enjoy. West Virginia is known for their whitewater rafting, and there are several tour operators that can take you along the New River. My husband and I have been whitewater rafting in several different areas, and with our short amount of time here, we decided not to do whitewater rafting in West Virginia. Instead, we opted for a private tour on paddle boards. We paddled, I think it was called Glen Ferris, and that was only allowed through a certain tour operator. He had kind of gotten grandfathered in after they had some new regulations. So we really enjoyed that. We got to go up close and personal to some of the smaller waterfalls, and it was just a really peaceful day to be on the water. So we opted for a peaceful experience on the water, but for more thrilling option, I would definitely go for the whitewater rafting. And with the rafting, you're going to have a variety to choose from, whether you want the Class 5 rapids to a more family-friendly float trip. There are options within each tour operator for the level that your family would enjoy the most. Staying on the water, West Virginia is filled with different areas to fish, to swim, to float, especially in the summer. Of course, we were there in June, so I'm focused more right now on the water activities you can do in the summertime. Other adventures you might enjoy: horseback riding, rock climbing is a big thing in this park. You can go with a guide and get some experience climbing in a new area. Mountain biking trails are all around, and of course the hiking trails, many more than I mentioned earlier in the episode. New River Gorge is truly an outdoor lover's paradise. There is so much to do here for the whole family, and just no shortage of outdoor activities to choose from. I spoke a little bit about this earlier with the mining history and how this used to be a very large, booming mining town. There is a really unique spot in the park called the Thurmond Historic District. Thurmond is Thurmond. And what used to be a really booming coal town is now a ghost town, and the buildings have been preserved so that you can go and either just drive through or park and walk through this old ghost town area. It's really unique. It's like time has been frozen, and there's no workers or anything there. There are no buildings that are open, but you can really let your imagination run wild of what this used to be back in its heyday. And along that same line, I would highly encourage you to take some time and drive the Fayette Station Road. So that is the old road that you used to have to drive before the bridge was constructed. So it winds down the kind of mountain there and then crosses the old bridge over the river, and then you can wind your way back up. It's really, really unique, a very scenic drive. It does run only one way, so you'll kind of need to pay attention. You can always ask the visitor center where the entrance is, but it is a one-way road. And then you'll finish the drive and actually cross the new River Gorge Bridge to come back to where you started. So it's like a full circle experience. If you wanted a more strenuous hike, the Kmore Miners Trail that descends down into the former Kmore mine site, you can access that from this scenic drive. So just wanted to point that out there. We did not do this, but that is an option for someone that wants a harder hike. There are a lot of hairpin turns on this road. You'll want to take it slow. It's something to be enjoyed, not to just fly through. And it is that one way. And then you'll go over the bridge that is only a 12-foot clearance. So it's a very narrow bridge, what they used to drive over before the new bridge was constructed. Very, very cool. Just outside of the park in the town of Beckley is an exhibition coal mine, and they do offer tours daily, several tours a day that you can purchase. And there's a museum itself to kind of get some of the miners' history. There's lots of artifacts and unique things to see as you walk around the museum, both in the kind of visitor center area, and then they have old mining town-like buildings that you can walk through. And then from that same area, they take you underground to what used to be a mine, and you get to hear about a miner's experience and learn tons of history and fun facts about what it was like to be a miner. Not be for anyone that is claustrophobic. It's cool down there. It's like, you're underground, so it's maybe 55 degrees year round. And then it is dark, so you've got the miner, and he's got his headlamps, and they take you throughout different areas of the mine. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was really unique. I don't think I would have had as much appreciation without hearing that perspective. So highly encourage you to take that option if you have more time and want to spend it outside of the park. I believe they run on a seasonal schedule from April 1st to November the 2nd. So if you're traveling in those times of year, I would definitely check that out in Beckley. That's called the Exhibition Coal Mine. Okay, so when do you want to visit New River Gorge? This park would be excellent year-round. I think my top pick would probably be dependent on what you want to do. If the water is important to you and you want to be in the water, you're going to want to go in the summer. The spring would be a great time also for rafting, but it's going to be quite a bit colder. So keep that in mind. The fall is going to be absolutely stunning. There will be tons of amazing foliage, and the changing colors on the leaves would be a great time. And then if you want to visit, it'll be crowded, but if you want to see that base jumping, it's on the third Saturday of every October. So keep that in mind as you're making your plans. Packing tips, what you're going to want to have here: sturdy shoes, any type of water shoes, Chacos, Keens, if you want to get in the river, because, the rock bottom, or the bottom, can be kind of rocky and sandy. It's always a good idea to have a rain jacket and pack some layers. No matter what time of year you're going, even in the morning in the summer, I put on some long sleeves because it was a little bit chilly. You'll want to have some bug spray and sunscreen to keep you protected as you're outside. I didn't notice an abundance of bugs, but I do live in the South, so I think my tolerance is a little higher, maybe. To avoid some of the crowds, of course, visiting early in the morning or on the weekdays, you'll want to avoid Bridge Day if you are not wanting to be in those crowds. But if that is a highlight for you, it's just one of those things you've got to deal with. Where to stay? My husband and I, we rented an Airbnb, and this was probably the cutest little Airbnb that I've ever stayed in. It was called the ZELEK house, and I will link that in the show notes for you to enjoy if you are going with, I think it had 2 bedrooms, so any, two couples or a family with 2 kids would be perfect. And it was located in Fayetteville. It was an old restored house. I want to say it was built in like the 50s, and the host had done such a great job of keeping the unique touches of the date of the home, but also updating, so you had like updated amenities, I guess. But it was like retro. That's the word that keeps coming back. But it was so cute, and she had so many personal touches in the house. There are several cabin rentals, and then there's a couple of like adventure resorts. One of those is Adventures on the Gorge. They have cabins, glamping, family-friendly activities like zip lining. They've got a pool, playground, and on-site restaurant. So that's a great spot for families to stay. Ace Adventure Resort is another that's really similar. They do have a water park on the lake. And then there are a few hotel options. This is a small town, so you don't have a lot of stuff as far as hotels go. The historic Morris Harvey House is a B&B in downtown Fayetteville. Oak Hill is another great option of towns to stay in, but we loved Fayetteville. So much good food. We went to several different restaurants and had some really delicious meals, and I'm going to get right into that. Pizza, we had Pies and Pints. That's in Fayetteville. I had the Mexican street corn pizza. Oh my gosh, it was so good. It was like a white sauce and cilantro and street corn. I'm still thinking about it. Great craft beer selections. Another restaurant is called Cathedral Cafe, and that was built in a converted church. So it's really unique. You've got like the stained glass windows. They have great coffee there and like breakfast and sandwiches. The Secret Sandwich Society is in Oak Hill. We ate there one night, and those burgers were really good. They have a lot of outdoor seating. They have not just burgers, but other sandwich type options. The Station in Fayetteville is more of your farm to table dining. And then there was a sandwich place. What was that place called? I'll have to look back in my notes. It wasn't a sandwich shop. It was called The Takeout. And they had like open-faced pitas, and it was so fresh and so yummy. I absolutely loved it. That was my favorite restaurant that we went to. If you're wanting another quick stop near the New River Gorge area, make your way out to Babcock State Park. That's where you have the iconic Almost Heaven. It's a swing, and then you've got this beautiful old mill that has been preserved. So that would be a great round out for more history in your time in this area. If you can't tell, I love this park so much. I 100% think it should be a national park. So glad it's preserved, from the history of the old mining towns and the bridge and the unique outdoor activities. It's a great spot for your family to visit year round, but definitely over the summer or the fall would be such a great long weekend. I think you could really pack a lot into a 4-day trip, depending on how far you have to drive. Please let me know if you've been and what you enjoyed. I've got a blog post written about this park on my website. And if you want any help or assistance with your itinerary or booking this vacation for your family, just let me know. I'll link my calendar in the show notes. I love hearing from you. I hope this was helpful. I look forward to hearing from you. Until next time, wander wisely. Thanks for joining another episode of WonderWise. I hope you're feeling inspired to plan your family's next unforgettable adventure. Join the community in my private travel Facebook group, linked in the show notes, for more travel tips and ideas. If you'd like a customized plan for your next vacation, fill out the form in the show notes to get started. Until next time, wander wisely.